For me, a bowl of Greek yogurt with fruits, nuts, and flax seeds, also some other seeds, and of course, a drizzle of honey. So that is my go-to food.
Okay. One thing you always have in your pantry.
Fig seeds and nuts and banana.
You have a busy day and you need a quick meal on the go. What will you take to work?
I'll make a sandwich with a whole wheat or a wrap, sandwich or a wrap with multigrain bread or a whole wheat wrap, which is better. And I'll stuff it with paneer or eggs or tofu or chicken, shredded chicken, and a lot of veggies like that.
Okay, and do you eat unhealthy too, like the rest of us? And if you do that, how do you get back on track?
Of course, I do. I mean, everybody loves food, right? So I'm a big fan of white sauce pasta and pizza. I mean, all the European food that is out there. But I don't like to, myself indulge into it very frequently. So it's like once in a 15 days, once in a 20 days kind of thing. So the next day again, you return to your basics. I mean, you make sure that you're eating whatever you're eating every day. Yeah.
Hello there. On the Longevity Shot today, we are continuing our discussion on how to eat right. Whether you want to do it to lose weight, to build your health, or to work on your longevity. Interestingly enough, the roadmap for all three seems to be essentially similar. But let's get that from an expert, yeah? So joining me today to answer that very complex question of how to eat right is Dr. Subashree Ray. Now, Subashree has a PhD in clinical nutrition. She heads wellness at the TVS Motor Company, and in her day job, she designs sustainable well-being programs to help staff be more healthier and productive. She's also a columnist. She's an author of several research papers and books, including a brief on nutrition for the G20. Now, of course, what you're watching is the second episode in our series on eating right. You'll find the link to the first one on your screen, where we discuss what you should be eating to live longer. So do subscribe and follow Never Too Late to watch that episode as well. But coming back today, we are talking all about protein, and we will also see how to ensure we get enough of it. But first, let's welcome Subashree. So, Subashree, I like the way you, when you describe what you do for a living, you talk about building a sustainable well-being program. And of course, I think that is the cornerstone of any diet, the plan that we create for ourselves, right? That it needs to be sustainable.
Right. So I believe principally in sustainability because everything and anything that you do, you have to create a long-term impact, right? So that's why the word sustainable is so important for us. So if you are doing something for just a bit or you want to just do today and forget tomorrow, so that is not something that I personally believe. It has to be long-term. It has to be something impactful. Having said that, diet or a dietary pattern, rather, I would say, Kavita, or an eating pattern has to be sustainable. I mean, if you think that eating fruits or vegetables or foods that are nutritious will be your one day thing, so that will not help you for long run. So you have to continue it because consistency, sustainable habits will only get you results, right? So that's what I believe in. For diet also, it's true, like I said. And of course, like casual indulgences, sometimes we can have, and that's fine, but we shouldn't be doing it more often. We should be going back to our regular routine. We have to go back to our eating healthy habits and ensure that we are continuing it.
So, if I could just ask you to explain it a little, would you then say that when we talk about food groups, now we know that there are diets that people follow to lose weight, they go off carbs completely.
Right.
I mean, we Indians love our carbs. Probably that is not a sustainable diet.
That is not if your household is having a carb heavy diet or if you don't, if you're forcing it on yourself. Now, if it is a moderate carbohydrate diet or if it is something, even lower carb diet, it totally depends on what is your goal. It's sustainable. It's sustainable if your goal is something related to that kind of diet. Like, for example, I'll be going a little bit deeper scientific into this. So my PhD is on ketogenic diet intervention on uncontrolled epileptic children. For them, ketogenic diet, which is scientifically done ketogenic diet, not something that you see in the market, like which people like sell keto diet, no, not that. So when you scientifically calculate ketogenic diet and ensure that 80% of your energy is coming from the diet, so that is kind of medicine for the uncontrolled epileptic children to control their seizure.
Hmm.
Now, that is a different intervention altogether because it's something that is related to your health goal. Having said that, because carbohydrate, particularly the simple kind of carbohydrate, like simple sugar, also refined sugar or glucose, if we are taking a lot of that amount in our daily diet, so there is always the risk of becoming insulin resistant, which is the cause for all the non-communicable diseases that we are seeing here, including some cancers. So recently we are also building the link between the high carb or very high refined sugar diet and the cancer causation. So that is why I believe that if you're going low carbohydrate or moderate carbs, it should align with your health goal. It should not be something as a fashion because my peer is doing it, so I will do it. It should not be like that. You should be very much clear that it is helping you with your health goal.
I liked how you use the word fashion. And one thing that is in fashion right now is protein. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, it's all over social media. Everybody's discussing it. And of course, we need protein. But first, tell us this. One is, why do we need protein? And are Indians really protein deficient? Is our diet to blame for that?
Well, we need protein for multiple functions, Kavita, including it's a building block of our muscles, right? So if our muscle health is not good, so our overall muscular skeletal function will be impacted. Also, protein, particularly amino acids, which is coming from protein, the metabolites of protein is required for multiple biochemical activities that is happening inside our body all the time. Also, it requires for enzyme production, hormone production, so everything that you see, right? And also, if you're taking more protein and you have better muscle health, you have better protein percentage or your better muscle percentage, then it will help you to age better, to have the longevity that we are talking about. So this is very important. Having said that, yes, Indian diet is protein deficient according to the lead Lancet Eat Lancet study. It's mostly because our diet is cereal heavy, and centered to carbohydrates. So, for example, roti, rice, potato, right? But dal and legumes are part of our diet. But if you look at the portion, it's really less, and it doesn't really ensure that you are getting your daily protein. So usually we have small portion of dal or with the rice, right? So sometimes those dals are not beans or not the legumes, the bigger one, which gives you a better quality or a more quantity of protein, right? Further, also we are, as a country, we are like even the non-vegetarian followers, I mean, people who eat non-veg, they also, I mean, not every day they will have chicken or egg or fish,
Yeah,
right?
we
So there
have
will
our
be
Mangalwar
days,
and Somvar and
Mangalwar, and we also have our Gurvars, so so that is there. So it's very cultural as well. And also there is, I would say that this issue is compounded by lack of awareness. So protein is often associated with gym or muscle building, or something which you needed for becoming hefty. But it's an essential, I would say most essential micronutrient for every cell in the body. You need, like I said, muscles, hormones, enzymes, immunity, and more.
yeah, and of course, I if we could just spend a little time over here explaining why it is essential, because I did want to bring
Right.
that up, the association between proteins and muscle building. The muscle essentially, if I understand right, Subashree, muscle is like one of the biggest organs in the body, and the muscle is what utilizes the sugar that we are consuming. It utilizes all the other nutrients that we are consuming, and if we don't have enough protein, that won't be possible, right? And proteins, deficient protein diet can also increase the risk for us getting metabolic disorders like diabetes and hypertension. Would that be right?
Absolutely. Because if you are, so glucose is stored in muscles as glycogen, okay, which we use when it's required, right? So glucose is coming from carbohydrate, but protein is the building block of muscle. So if you don't have muscle, where you will store it, right? And also, if you have less muscle percentage and more fat percent, so lesser muscle percentage you have, so there is more fat percentage, particularly people on the overweight or obese side. So for them, it's you have insulin resistance, right? So there is a direct connect between how is your metabolic health and your insulin resistance. And then insulin resistance, like I mentioned in the beginning only, it's being linked to, or it is being already established that we are having obesity or overweight problem, or let's say PCOS, for example, polycystic ovarian disease. All these are related to insulin resistance, right? So more protein, better muscular health, better longevity, and better aging, and more prevention of diseases. So it goes like that.
Right. So, how much protein does one need?
By recommendation, a person require zero point 0.8 to 1 kg, like I'm talking about adults, of course, here, gram per kg body weight per day. So let's say somebody weighs 60 kg, so he needs minimum 60 grams of protein a day, which is a lot, trust me. And this is where the question when you ask that if India is having that much, no. So it Lancet study found out that, our consumption is average 40 grams a day, right? And if you are somebody, so if you're doing that, I mean, if you are calculating at 0.8 to 1, then it would be for a 60 kg person, it is 48 to 60 grams of protein. So minimum of 50 is required, right? But it goes really, really lesser than that. For active individuals, somebody who is doing a gym, or, who is into, particularly for older adults who has a tendency to muscle atrophy, right? For them, we require at least 1.2 to 1.6 grams. That depends on the kind of activity that you're doing. What is your frequency? What is your intensity of workout? So this is the requirement that we have: 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kg body weight per day.
So this is essentially for people who work out, who are, doing
Yes.
sports, or older people, that is over the age of 60,
Right.
65.
Right.
They need to
Right.
consume more protein. That's what
More
you're
protein. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So you said, like you just told us, we need at least 60 grams of protein if you take 60 kg as
kg.
your. So say we want to get 48 to 60 grams of protein from our diet. Uh, how much do we need to eat if you're looking at a vegetarian diet, for instance?
So let's say, if we're talking about, so that is a bit of a calculation, Kavita, that we need to see, but I would still say that we need to ensure that we are having at least one portion of yogurt, right? So that can be the smaller packet that we have for any yogurt for that matter, or 100 grams of dahi we can have include in our diet, plus nuts and seeds, one fistful. Then there will be 150 grams of beans or lentils that we are having. I'm not talking about moong dal or masoor dal, like which are the smaller dals, smaller pulses. I'm talking about beans like rajma, chana, chole, like the bigger beans, like soya. So if you are somebody who is fond of mushroom and soya, so that is very complete protein that you can get, right? Also, paneer. So let's say 200 grams of paneer or tofu that you're including in your daily diet, right? So that way, if you are ensuring that in your each meal, there is at least a 50 to 200 grams of protein, depending on your meal, because nobody can have like 200 grams of protein in a snack, right? So for snacks, you can have like 100 grams of something that will give you protein. But at least if you're combining, like doing this, I mean, ensuring that in each meal you have 50 to 200 grams of protein, depending on the type of meal, you will be ensuring 50 to 55, 60 grams of protein. Yeah.
So what you're telling us is that being a vegetarian doesn't necessarily mean that you're protein deficient.
No, no, it's not. Also, the combination matters, right? I mean, how you're, like I said, that if you're having any soya product, so soya is a fantastic source of protein. It's almost equivalent to the animal sources that we consume, because it's protein is all about quality as well, right? So maybe that also we will explore. So if a vegetarian plans his diet, Now, if he is working out or if she is working out or going to the gym or pregnant for women, then they would be requiring a totally customized plan. Correct. But in general, let's say for a person who does some walking or some cardiovascular exercise or very light workout, for that person, if you're planning it nicely, so let's say morning sprouts, correct? And then afternoon, when you're having your lunch, you include curd, you include beans or lentil, you also include or you include soya. Okay. In the evening, you can have like a uh, tofu wrap, or you can also sometimes have nuts and seeds and yogurt. And then at night, again, a portion of beans like that. So if you're planning that way, it will happen, right? So usually in our Indian household, this is the main problem. You will see that people are eating chapati and curry. That's it sometimes, right? So chapati and vegetable, and that's it. So this is where the problem is happening. Yeah.
Um, Before we move on, you're from the east of India. I'm of course, you would be
Yeah.
familiar with Sattu. Now, that is touted as a protein-rich source. Is it a protein-rich source?
Sattu is nothing but chickpea flour, right? I mean, chickpea flour is, yeah, I mean, it's a good source of protein. But like I said, that the only problem, this is a little bit tricky area because all the plant
Okay.
sources.
Let me put it to you this way. I've come across a number of references on social media saying that you can replace protein powder, a scoop of protein powder, with a scoop of sattu.
No. So I really, really do not, first of all, let's not talk about replace, Kavita, when it comes to protein powder or for that matter, that you are supplementing. So it's a supplement. It cannot replace anything. Also, the protein powder that we are talking about here, they are whey protein powder. I mean, let's say if you're having one scoop, you will be getting 25 grams of quality absorbable protein. So there's a huge difference. Now, the only drawback of plant source protein, which is also sattu, is that the absorbability of plant protein is not as high as animal protein or as high as whey protein. So, animal source protein and the whey protein, they have an absorbability and also the numbers of essential amino acids. Correct? So, essential amino acids are all the amino acids that you can get. So, those have to be there in protein, right? So that's why I'm saying that it's all about the quality, absorbability, availability. So when you are having animal-based protein or a whey protein or a protein which is like a whey protein, right? A protein powder, it should be having a 90 to 96% of absorbability or availability. You need to make it biologically available. Eating it will not help. At the same time, when it comes to plant protein, the absorbability or availability is near to 70%. So that difference will always be there. Correct? So this is why a vegetarian person needs to be planning even better. Vegan, even way better, right? That if they're getting all the essential amino acids or not. That's why I mentioned soya, because it has almost all essential amino acids, or mushroom for that matter.
So essentially, what Subashree is telling us is if you're vegetarian, it doesn't mean that you need to be protein deficient. You just need to ensure that you have protein as a part of every meal in the day, and you have to
Yes.
plan ahead, right? And you
Correct.
need to get in sources of protein from sources like soya or mushroom, which your body absorbs better. Now let's look at a non-vegetarian, standard Indian non-vegetarian person. What are some ways that they can get protein in your diet, in their diet?
See, the best part for a non-vegetarian eater, but of course, there is a quality of the type of non-vegetarian food as well. So having said that, if we have to follow a sustainable pattern of eating as well, we need to ensure that the sources are sustainable. So even if you are a non-veg person, you cannot solely depend on red meat. And that is not something which is good for, I mean, I generally not recommend for the environment, of course, and of course not for the health. So what are the good option? Chicken, fish, and egg. So let's say, for example, if a person is having chicken, so 100 grams of chicken breast will be giving you from 28 to 30 grams of protein right away. That is the quality we are talking about. So two eggs will be giving you 12 grams of protein right away, and complete protein, biologically available protein. So that is why a person who is trying to build muscle, so you will see their go-to food is always grilled chicken breast, or eggs or fish. 100 grams of fish will be giving you 20 grams of protein with all the minerals and vitamins and essential amino acids, right? So this is the choice that you have. So for a typical Indian household person, if they want to have like a non-vegetarian, so the recommendation is morning they can really have their eggs. Then afternoon, if they have an opportunity, they can have fish, and then of course like chicken or fish. But the problem in our country, like we were discussing, is that the cooking. So nobody will be having grilled chicken, right? So they will be having either chicken rara or some chicken,
So
I mean,
let's look at tandoor,
yeah,
which is a favorite among Indians. Is tandoori chicken, we are told, is healthy?
better,
Better. Okay.
better, better because it's not so much oily, not chicken butter masala, not laden with cream and butter and oil, because the moment you're putting fat to it and it's gone, right? So that is some. So anything that is grilled or tandoor style, right? So that is still better. But then there is Afghani tandoor, right? So where then there is another story. But if you're just grilling your chicken, or tandoor is any day better than the curry form of thing that we're having. That goes for fish also. So the way you cook, it's extremely important.
But when we talk about Indian methods of cooking, I mean, a lot of, and if you're looking at fish per se, especially fish, I think, whether you're talking of people from the south or people from the east or people from the west, even, there are ways, every community has some way to steam fish. Now, is
Yeah.
that a great way to eat the fish?
Amazing way to it. Any cooking method that doesn't involve deep frying. So
Mm.
you see, I'm from Bengal, and also like, I mean, I'm also from Mumbai. So they're very heavy frying of like fish. I mean, we fry the fish, right? But if you're frying it shallow frying, it's okay. I mean, you can just, make sure that you are steaming it. So if you're a little
Mhm.
bit of oil you're using and you're mostly steaming it, and you're utilizing it for your salad, I mean, it's great. I mean, I love salmon salads, that comes, and it's really tasty. So fundamentally, if you really want to include protein, even in non-vegetarian form, you have to change your cooking style. Also, home cooked curries are not bad if you're not putting a lot of oil, or not making it greasy with oil, or any form of fat, right? So simple gharka, like we make the chicken or the fish curry that we have, that is great.
Yeah. A couple of questions more over here. You spoke about salmon. You said we can have our chicken, which is a good source. You spoke about salmon. Now, of course, salmon is something that a lot of people may not be able to afford. It is
Yeah,
a
yeah.
costly fish in India. What are some Indian local fish varieties that are high in protein?
So basa can be great addition, right? And surmai and pomfret, these are like all the sea fish that we have. They also have a good amount of omega-3, right? So
Hmm.
which is also essential for our heart health. So if somebody has a fish oriented diet, so they will do great because they are getting so much in just single source of food, right? So they're having protein, also they're having omega-3, also they're having the vitamins and the minerals, particularly iron and manganese. So these are certain foods, fish, like whatever fish we get from our local market is great to go. They have the similar kind of nutritional value. Sea fish will have additional omega-3 and omega-6, particularly omega-3, because you know that fish oil is omega-3 fish oil, right? I mean, so, but the river fish not have a lot of omega-3. for that matter. But still, I mean, it's great. I mean, at least for protein source and all the minerals, and so it's always mix and match. I'm somebody who heavily believe in like blue foods. So collectively, all the marine foods we called blue food, and blue food is the answer to sustainable development goals, right? Because and blue food based economy, which is known as blue economy, which I'm working on again very heavily. So they are the answer for tomorrow. So yes, I
Yeah.
think.
Also, you did tell us the protein, composition of some common non-vegetarian foods. Could you do the same for common vegetarian foods? I mean, apart from the soya and mushroom, which you did tell us is very, very.
Right. So let's say dal, for example, tur or mung or masoor, these kind of dal. Okay. So usually they have a similar kind of nutritional value. So they will be having 18 to 25% of protein, which is nearly, if I'm talking about, 18 to 22 grams of protein in 100 grams. Carbs is 40 grams, but then, hey, you have to remember that this carbohydrate is fiber. This
Hmm.
is not a simple carbohydrate, right? So that's the best part of Indian diet as well. So if you are making your diet pulse-based diet, not the cereal-based diet, then you are good because you are getting a lot of fiber. So carbohydrate is 40 grams and protein is 18 to 22 grams. So similarly, so this is usually for lentils and pulses. But if you talk about that, that beans, like what would be the beans value for example? So they will have 25 to 28 grams of protein.
Right. So when you
Like
say beans, you mean your chana, rajma,
chana,
choli.
rajma, chole, yes, all these
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
And also, what else? The other ones that you have, the chauli, the mart, I mean, the val, and all of
These
those
are
are
near to similar, Kavita. I
neat,
mean, they don't
right?
have very
Yeah.
variation, because they are the similar food group, right?
Hmm.
So not much, but at least the legumes will be, if you're sprouting it, then the quality of protein absorbability increases.
Okay.
So the moment you are sprouting it, the digestibility and the absorbability of that particular bean increases. Yeah, that's why we say that sprout it and then have it. Yeah.
Great. And finally, the question, does everybody need to supplement with protein powders?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because see, protein powders can be a convenient option. I mean, you buy a protein powder, you have it, you can have that. But you see, um, the right now we discussed that if you're having a bowl of sprouts, it can give you so much more than protein. It can give you fiber, it can give you antioxidants, it can give you vitamins, and so why to lose that? So my opinion would be that if you are really, really falling short, I mean, if you know that yes, I don't have any scope, I'm living in I mean in a condition where khichdi or only those kind of food available, then you can literally do that. Or you are somebody who is athlete, who's a building body, who has a particular health goal, can do that. But for most of the people it's not required. I always emphasize that please first try to do with a natural food, because a particular food can give you so much more than just a single nutrient, and you want that, right? So it should be always something which is giving you fiber, vitamins, minerals, along with the protein, not just protein. So supplement should be, like I'm again repeating it, supplement should be supplement. It should not be replacement.
Well, that's a great place to end this discussion. And what we are learning today is that the Indian diet, if you eat it right, is not necessarily protein deficient. What you need to ensure is that you plan your meals, plan your protein intake, ensure you have protein in every meal, and eat more protein, more veggies, and less carbs. And a vegetarian diet is not essentially a protein deficient diet. And of course, our big learning for the day, protein powders are supplements. Great to have, but for something that you can sustain lifelong, fix your diet. Everything else comes later. Thank you, Subashree, for joining us. And of course, to our viewers, don't forget to tune in for part 3 of the series, where Subashree will tell us how to eat healthy on a budget. Better still, just go ahead and subscribe to Never Too Late. You will get a notification when that episode drops. I'll see you around.